talking about social media today, it is a problem, especially in this moment when we're coming out of lockdown and it's making us a little nuts. As I said yesterday, at the end of a crisis, that's when you get nuts, because at first you prepare yourself, you brace yourself, you muscle down all the feelings and all that stuff. But as the air starts to come in and as you start to be released, that's when people start to go a little crazy. You may notice it in your relationships. You may notice it in what you're saying on Twitter. You may notice it in the way you behave. Twitter is now doing something that is just wrong, and there's no legalizing our way out of this. Donald Trump has been attacking vote by mail. He thinks it's the path to fraud. Here's Trump talking about that.
This has more to do with fairness and honesty and really our country itself, because when that starts happening, you don't have a fair, you have a rigged system. You have a rigged system, and that's what would happen. So mail-in ballots, and the governor of California did better than I could ever do in terms of explaining. When he sent out, or will send out, and I don't know, I think it's maybe partially already done, millions and millions of ballots to anybody in California that's walking or breathing, many of those people don't have the right to vote. Well, they'll be voting. And you know what? We're not going to let it happen, because you're subverting our process and you're making our country a joke. And the Democrats are doing it because, in theory, it's good for them, although last week we won 2 big races.
So Twitter he tweets about this, right? He puts out a tweet about it, and Twitter puts a "get the facts about mail-in ballots" link on his tweet, and it tweets to something that says these claims are unsubstantiated according to CNN, Washington Post, and others. So in other words, they're countering Trump's opinion about this with the opinion of leftists for no reason, for absolutely no reason. The evidence is that the fears about voter fraud are overblown, but that doesn't mean that voter fraud isn't possible. So this is his opinion. He puts it out on Twitter. And he responded by saying, Republicans feel that social media platforms totally silence conservative voices. We will strongly regulate or close them down before we allow this to happen. Now, I should mention here that the head of site integrity at Twitter is a guy named Yoel Roth, who called Trump a Nazi and called the middle states flyover states and said we fly over them because they voted for a racist tangerine. This is the guy who's making these decisions. Now, to me, there are right-wingers who are saying, well, Twitter is not governed by the First Amendment. But this is, to me, is just common sense. And I don't even want to get legalistic about it. If there is a new technology by which we converse with each other, and they have virtually a monopoly on our communications, they cannot be censoring us any more than the phone company can be coming into our conversations and saying, oh, Grandma, what Klavan just said to you isn't true. It can't happen that way. It just doesn't make common sense. Trump is totally, completely in the right about this, and no legality, no legalism is going to stop that. To maintain free speech, we have got to regulate these companies so they don't do this, because that was just plain wrong. Now, the other thing that is insane, there was an article in the Journal today about Facebook, that Facebook came out a while back and said, our algorithms are driving people apart, right? They put up a slide. It said, our algorithms exploit the human brain's attraction to divisiveness. That's what this is in Twitter, in Facebook. This is what the Facebook executives are talking about. And of course they do, because divisiveness, outrage makes you come back. It spews these chemicals into your brain, and you think, oh, it feels really good to hate on these people that I disagree with. And they warned in this slide to Facebook, if left unchecked, Facebook would feed users more and more divisive content in an effort to gain user attention and increase time on the platform. And so that question, says the Wall Street Journal article, went to the heart of a question dogging Facebook almost since its founding. Does its platform aggravate polarization and tribal behavior? And the answer they found in some cases was yes. And they went into an internal effort to understand how its platform shaped user behavior and how the company might address potential harms. And then suddenly, nothing. They stopped. Mark Zuckerberg, and other senior executives shelved the basic research according to previously unreported internal documents, and people familiar with the effort and weakened or blocked efforts to apply its conclusion to Facebook products. Before you go, one last thing. Hit the subscribe button so that you stay up to date on all our content.